Hi guys, I'm Dr. Tara Tobias. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. Today's home exercise tutorial is going to be a little bit of an add-on because of some great comments that I got during that last series on the upper extremity. And today I'm not going to really demonstrate anything, but I'm going to address a common problem after a stroke, especially a severe stroke. And that is for those of you who feel like you have no movement in your wrist or your hand. Meaning that last series just did not make sense to you because you cannot move the arm at all. And that is a very common problem. And I'm glad someone left that in the comments, worded exactly that way, is that I have no movement at all. So if that is you and you feel that way, then stick around because this video is definitely for you. So first, let's start with what happens after a stroke. So you have damage to a certain part of the brain, and therefore the result is the brain cannot control the arm. So there's a couple things that happen after you wake up from a stroke or right after your stroke happens or your brain injury happens. And one is, thank goodness you have an uninvolved arm, because it's very easy to just relearn the things that you used to do with the arm that is now not moving, to just do it with the uninvolved arm. And we call that compensation. So you compensate with your other arm. The downside of this is that your brain is now in healing mode. So your brain is trying to form new connections, trying to figure out what to do now that there's this damaged area of the brain. So what happens is you're now using the uninvolved arm for everything. So in a simplified manner, the brain is now doing more neuroplasticity, or creating more connections, or devoting more energy or more neurons to the uninvolved arm. So some will term that negative neuroplasticity. A lot of times you hear of neuroplasticity in a positive light, and it's how you form new connections. But I like to term that negative neuroplasticity because you are forming new connections, but it's devoting more neurons to the uninvolved arm. Big problem. Another thing that can happen, and this is really common with someone who has a stroke or a brain injury on the right side of the brain, is that you develop like an inattention or a neglect to the involved side of the body. Meaning literally, if this is the side of the body that was affected by the stroke, your world stops right at the midline of your body, and this side over here kind of becomes no man's land or nothing land. Meaning everything is good to here, but you get to here and it's like nothing exists over here. So if anyone has told you that you keep your head slightly turned towards your uninvolved side, or you have noticed that you will eat a meal and when you think you are finished with everything on the plate, someone points out that you've only eaten the food off of half the plate. That is a Hemi Neglect. You literally, your world stops here, and therefore you did eat everything on your plate, but because your world is not opened up over here, everything on that side of the plate was left on the plate. And we call that neglect. So why do I explain all of that for those of you who think you have a dead arm? Is that possibly one of those two things have been going on. Either you've developed a neglect, or your compensatory strategies have become so strong that you literally, when you try and move this arm, it happens on this side. It happens on your uninvolved arm. So how do you undo that? Well, it's hard, not impossible. And if you commit to the activities I'm about to share with you, it's even less impossible. So what I'm going to share with you today is we are going to learn how to build more awareness to the involved arm. Now, what's the problem with that? It's very easy for me to say, just start paying attention to that arm. and all will be fine. The problem is that you have an inattention to that side, or you forget about this side, or you forget about this arm. So most of the time, there is no problem because the arm is not there. And that is where the breakdown usually happens when I give people home exercises that I'm about to share with you, is that there's that inattention or that lack of awareness. And so they're super motivated, but they just forget that they have a problem over there. So keep that in mind. If you have to set reminders in your phone, or if you can designate people in your family or some friends to remind you to do some of these activities, that would be the most helpful. So step one is to spend a portion of every day, maybe several times a day, for several minutes, touching the arm, looking at the hand. Even if it's fisted, grab it with your other hand and just look at it. That's one. Just build that awareness to that arm. While you're there, start rubbing it. Set it on a table so that you can protect the shoulder and you're not going to damage the shoulder, and just rub that arm. Rub it, touch it, do as much as you can to move it, work on flipping the hand over, and just build awareness for that arm. The other thing is, if you are someone that is in a sling to protect your shoulder, I am not a fan. I understand that you do need to protect the shoulder, but putting it in that sling is almost like telling your brain that arm doesn't exist. It's just like a backpack that you put on every day, but it's not a part of your body. So instead, if you have a wheelchair, try and put some pillows under your arm and have it out where you can see it. I'll have a blog post link in the description below where I show some pictures of that. And spend as much time as you can during the day with your arm out in front of you. And then every day, you should spend some time in front of a mirror, building a new image in your brain of a body with two sides. Now, this is important. If your neglect is severe, I recommend you put something of a different color on your left arm or your involved arm to make sure that when you're looking in the mirror, you're not looking at your uninvolved arm. That's how tricky the brain can be after a stroke. You may think you're looking at your involved arm when really you're just looking at your uninvolved arm. Another strategy that we use a lot in therapy is to put clothespins on your clothes on that side of your body and spend some time every day taking the clothespins off. That again is building awareness. Have someone do a little check afterwards and make sure you got them all. So you might get the ones that are really close to the middle, but you might totally forget about some of the ones that are further out. So that would be another strategy. And that's just a few. I could go on forever giving you suggestions or ideas of how to build awareness on that side of your body. But the take-home message today, just to recap, is that if you are someone who feels that that last series of videos is way out in left field to you because you are so far from being able to do anything I presented involving moving that arm, then this would be your starting point, and that is building awareness. So just to recap, one is get it out of a sling. If you keep it in a sling, spend some time touching it, rubbing it, anything to build awareness in that arm, looking at it, getting in front of a mirror, and find a couple of activities each day where you are forced to attend to any part of your body to the left of your nose or to the involved side from the nose over. So the nose is the middle of your body, anything on that from the nose over. So I hope that made sense. If any of you have any questions or any of that was confusing, please just leave them in the comments below. As usual, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you've subscribed and you haven't turned on notifications, definitely hit that notification bell. If you liked this video and you are someone that thinks you have neglect and you want to see more videos on neglect, put #stroke_neglect in the comments below, and also give this video a thumbs up. So again, I thank you all for watching, and until next time, you all have a great evening.